Yeah, g'day riders. I just thought I would go over my bike now that I've got it exactly where I want my rally to be, and run through the list of accessories that I've got on the bike from top to bottom. Not necessarily in order of importance, but I just thought it was a logical way to do it. And when I went through and counted it up, I actually realised that even though I thought on this bike I would do a lot less than I did on my fully MST Rally converted 790, I've actually got 15 accessories on this bike, which just shows what you have to do to get a bike suited for you, for your purposes. As you saw on last week's video, I do use this for proper adventure riding. My version of it anyway. The week after that rough track that wasn't a track that Phil and I went through, we also went to Fraser Island for 4 days of fun riding in the sand and getting there and back. The bike was absolutely flawless. I stand by my definition of this as the best adventure bike in the world. Just does a bit of everything, but does what it does so well. It just makes you look for excuses to go for a ride. So without getting too carried away with the fanboy side of it, I'll just start at the top. It's sad, but you do need to do something about the ergonomics of the screen on this bike, and it really shouldn't have come to that, but it has, and it is what it is. And I find that this little variable screen, which I've drilled an extra hole to drop down even further, I push it around. I actually left my bag with the guys who were supporting us on the way back from Fraser, and I had to ride home for 2 hours, and I've taken that off for riding around over in Fraser, just taking the one screw out, and it was in my bag, which I left with those guys. And halfway back I just really missed it, because I was just grinding down the freeway because I had to get back in time to come pick the dog up. So sad that we need it, but that is a pretty good solution, and I can ride with the visor up, and if it rains or whatever, it just you can actually see where it pushes the air to. Next thing down is the Zumo XT, which I pair with the Garmin InReach. And that is a great combination. I think I've told the story before of the funniest message that we've ever had come through on our screens. Michael, myself, and Neil all run the same system. And Michael got a flat tyre on his GSA down in Flinders and sent the message, flat tyre, come back and bring a spare pair of undies. Michael and I were both cracking up because we knew that we would get back there and there was a good story. And his front wheel, the tubeless front wheel just went down instantly, and on the video he came this close to binning it. So that works really well, and it's good just to glance down and know where you're going. So coming further down, I've got the adjustable cheap $20 mirrors, which I'm on probably my second full set. So I think I've replaced both sides now. I broke the left one on Fraser, just clipped a tree, but at $20, who cares? And I even leave the mounts on and just screw on a new mirror. If I was doing a Flinders trip and I was really worried about it, I would probably even just take one spare, just this part. I've got mine set up with two of the right hand thread adapters so that they're low. I don't like having them sitting up on those stalks any higher, and I buy the shortest one possible. So there's two versions of these $20 ones, then I just, when I remember to, I fold them in so they don't hit things. The bark busters, they've saved my butt many times. You've seen on my videos how many times I drop my bike. I'm not afraid to, and I know that my levers are going to be protected. It's winter, so I've got the little extenders on, and that just pushes a little bit more air around your hands on those cold days, because I don't run heated grips or anything like that. I've got heated gloves for a Flinders trip, and I've got merino liners for my fly gloves. Also, another thing that a lot of people don't talk about is replacing the grips. So I've got these grips, they're Pro Taper 791s, which are waffle on the back and smooth on the front, and I find them really comfy. So you don't want to have a grip that has too much. Well, what I don't like about the standard ones is there's not enough mechanical grip, so you're having to grip hard for your gloves to actually have mechanical grip on your handlebars. On these, I'm really relaxed, and you should be a little bit relaxed, you know, to let the bike do what the bike's doing. And I find that, you know, even though I've replaced these once on this bike in 22,000 kilometers, that's fine. They're 20 something bucks. Next thing down is the Scott's steering damper. I've got the triple clamp Moto first version of the mount, which is the lower of the two versions of the mount. I think it's 5 millimeters lower. I don't need the handlebars raised any more than this, and it allows two positions. I've got it in the furthest position, and I still run the stock bars, but at some point I might experiment with that. I don't know. I've got the steering head brace, the Rottweiler one, which has got a brace at the back, and it goes forward to your top mounts for the fairing, and you do those up until they're tight, so that they're taking up slack but not tight enough that it's pulling back on it and causing it to possibly stress. And they just give me peace of mind that the bouncing around and the harshness of hitting things, you know, at speed isn't going to crack the fairing off, the standard fairing. Under there that you can't really see, next thing down is the Radguard radiator guard. I find it's important to do that if you're riding with other riders, because you never know when they're going to, even when you're not, you know, behind them and they're gassing it, but they can just spang a rock out sideways, which you're running into at 100 kilometers an hour, you know. So that's a good addition, Australian made. I run the adjustable one finger clutch on the middle position. I find that the middle position is a good compromise for me, for the clutch to give a little bit easier clutch pull, but also increase my friction zone, you know, for a bit more precise control. But also on the, not being on the furthest out one, when I pull it fully in, I can engage neutral easily at a stop light. I don't sit with my clutch in the whole time. You know, at a stoplight I find neutral, and I found that on the other one it was actually too light, and because of the reduced movement, because you've got more leverage, you can only pull it in so far with the cable. I wasn't able to comfortably, smoothly and nicely find neutral, so I run that on that. You've seen the little video I did on my version of a steg peg kind of thing, which is angled out so that your boot will come out. But for standing on Fraser, that was awesome. It was just amazing. You know, if ever I felt that the bike wasn't doing what I wanted it to do, and I could get it moving fast enough in second and hook third, and then click in and become one with the bike just settled down. You know, you'll see when we do the Fraser one, which is, you know, still 2 trips video reports away, just how much fun we had over there, and that was a big part of it, you know, just locking in and being able to do that. I still run the catalytic converter, and this is the Delkevic exhaust, which I brought over from my 790 with a link pipe that I had made up specifically for this exhaust. And what I did in the meantime change is I bought the Delkevic actual clamp for it, which is a much nicer clamp specifically made for this exhaust, with the rubber that doesn't move around like the other one that I had was a generic one that we made work. I run the Rottweiler Powerplate. I've got the alloy version of it. And, you know, On the Fraser trip, when we got back, we all compared bikes. We had myself, Phil, and Jack here, and had a look at the air filters. And with this system, you know, I took off the dual layer pre-filter skin, put this one on, which I just run around on most of the time, and had a look inside, and I didn't even need to change my filter. So that's awesome. Going down further, I've got the B&B Bashplate on, which I love the fact that it wraps around at the bottom for the protectors. So you've got that protection at the bottom from a stick or a rock or a ledge or anything being able to get down to your protectors. And you can see I use mine. You know, I think bikes are meant to be used, made to be used, and not abused but used. And you know, that's what I do with it. I run the low seat because I think I might have mentioned before, I'm short, also old, not that strong, so I can at least get my feet down-ish onto the sides of things. On a longer trip, I run the Nelson Rig tank bag, and this tail bag, I have virtually nothing in it. You know, at worst, I have a little mini presser and a tube in there, mini levers. I don't put a lot of weight in there. This system of the straps is really good for the overnight bag, for the you know, the trips where you're not taking everything. And then I've got the rack that goes on for my Nelson Rig bags for the big adventure rides, the rack that I made myself. So I've also got the luxury of having two sets of wheels, and so this is a Hahn wheel with a tyre that I'm just wearing out now because it's not good enough for a fresh adventure, so it just becomes a road tyre. And I've got Rail Z's that are left over from, I think, my 5-day adventure that I'm just wearing out as you know, I'm riding around. You know, there's a lot of talk about you know, the suitability of a bike like this for different kinds of adventures, and you know, we all have different versions of adventures. I can have an adventure on a CT110 or an old XT500 or you know, a bike like this. They're all adventures. They're all adventure rides. I actually passed the guy on a Grom who just rode to Cape York. I mean, well done. You know, what an adventure. For me, for when I want to go to the Flinders, I need something that's going to do the long miles and do them comfortably, and then be able to drop the gear off at the room that we stay at for a couple of nights, and then have proper adventures, riding the tracks down there, have fun on Big Red on the way back at Birdsville, do the dirt roads in between in a comfortable fashion. You don't want to have a bike that you're having to focus on the bike as much as you're able to focus on the adventure and the road and having fun. And you know, for me, this bike ticks all the boxes. I mean, Michael calls it a cheetah bike because it does everything so well. The suspension is just next level. We adjusted Phil's suspension to be the same settings as mine, you know, and they were quite different. In the settings, there was only one or two that were close, and you know, he reported back that he found it pretty balanced. So I run pretty close to the comfort settings in general, and I go up a couple of clicks, 2 or 3 clicks on everything for when I'm loaded up. Also then go up a bit of preload, which is just so easy with this set of forks, you know, to I've got the proper tool, the plastic non-marking tool and the 8mm, and get the bike balanced again so that everything's feeling good, and they're just next level. You know, Phil had a weepy seal on one of his forks, and he had the fork saver, and we just popped off the dust seal, slid the dust seal down, ran the seal saver around it, and cleaned it up, and you know, the problem went away 99% of the time. That's what's going to happen if you've got mud that's dried and stuck to your lower chrome forks, and then you run it down, you can just get a little bit of junk in there as it's pushing the the mud and stuff off if it's you know, gritty. So when I do an adventure, I do try and wipe down the forks each night if we've gone through mud and stuff like that, just to save the fork seals in the morning having to go over dried, baked on, caked on stuff. I run the catalytic converter. I find that as a whole, my bike is very economical. You know, I've used less petrol than everyone else that I've ridden with. I guess I don't ride it crazy hard, you know, so that makes sense. I do also have tyre pressure monitoring system on my bike, which is a you know, $69 item that I just drill a hole in the little side thing there. And I've got to say, being able to look down at any point and see my tyre pressures really gives me peace of mind. You know, if the bike does something squirrely, that it's not a tyre thing. You know, I've even had it once where I was actually on the road and I looked down and all of a sudden one of them's flashing and, you know, the bike was handling bad. So yeah, you can set it. You can have the little you know, push on one. You can do your tyre pressures, but I just love the peace of mind of having that there. You know, I probably look at that more than I look at other settings on the dash. You know, I look at the GPS a lot, and I glance down at the tyre pressure monitoring system, and you know, even when you're on the road, sometimes you can see if the pressure's going up. You know, your tyre pressures might have been a bit low, and you've got a little bit much heat in them. I've got my own personal theories about running these tyres once or twice before an adventure to have them heat cycle through. I run the Scorpion Rally MST tube type on the front. I run the Ralzy 140 on the rear tube type, and with both of those I like to do a couple of heat cycles and get them warm and cold a couple of times before I head off on a loaded up big adventure. But that's just me. Other than that, my bike doesn't use any oil or do anything. You know, it's just absolutely bog stock, and you know, just a quick glance there. That's basically my rundown on the bike and the accessories. None of these are crazily expensive things, but I think they're all things that add to the usability of the bike. For me, for the whole range of things that I love this bike for. So thanks for tuning in, and we've got a couple of good series coming up. The ride with Phil, Michael and Neil up 3 days based out of Taroom for 2 nights, up to Injune and around, and a good run back. There's a little bit left of the series with the Sparabo and Billy trails to come for the series that's running now, and then we've got the Fraser trip with 7 of us on bikes. So yeah, still some good content to come. So thanks for watching along and liking and commenting, and the people that do that, and yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. Cheers. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to see some more of these videos. There's a couple more coming up and a few more bits and pieces, so yeah, stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Cheers.